Hello everyone. We are going to discuss about the book Alchemist by Ben Jonson, and we're going to answer for two questions. The first question is, remember our discussion on satire from the last semester and discuss if the Alchemist is a satire. If so, what it is satirizing. So, Emmanuel, can you answer that first, please?
Yes, of course. Okay, in my opinion, I think the Alchemist it's a satire, a very well done one, in which the place satirizing the some aspects of the minds of the people at that time. For example, well, the main topic we could say that it's the greedy that the characters have because they want to become rich. The medium or low class want to become a high class persons, and the ones that are already that are in high class that have high class. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry. They want to become even richer, and with not only that kind of characters, even the owner of the house, uh, he wants well he is a little bit mad because all the things that his butler made did, I'm sorry, but he's still like, okay, I'm gonna forgive you if you help me to become richer. And also with like the main characters of the play, they are also like very greedy, and I think that's the main thing that they are satirizing.
Okay, Gerardo, yes, question.
Yes, I totally agree with Leonardo. I think even today, when we talk about satire, it's very common to talk about society and basically what, like an observation of what we normally do and why we do certain things, and maybe even the stupidity or the I don't know, the obviously incorrect ways that sometimes we do certain things. We do make a lot of fun about ourselves in satire, and this is a very interesting one, especially since, yeah, they start conning basically every kind of person that was there, well, any person that had some kind of acquisitive power. uh, it's very, I agree with Leonardo, yes.
Okay, and David, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I would like to say that they, of course, they're satirizing these rich people. Also, they were mocking about, as he said, the greediness. I don't know if that's a word, but they were mocking about somehow they these kind of scientist guys like face doll and soft, well, also doll, I forgot the name, face and soft, they were trying to make their business using also doll to make them believe that they are really scientists and they are alchemists, and everyone believed them because they were like, at the time when this play was reading, people still believe in alchemism, not all of them, because some of the characters have this kind of skepticism, but they also were trying to mock about what we say, that they're mocking about the church because they like, if the church makes you believe that if you give them a lot, I don't know the name for the word for this, like when you get the diezmo, and then you're making God happy and he will respond on your pleas. But in this case, these guys were telling to their customers that if you give me money, I can transmute this piece of stone or this mineral into gold, and you'll be rich. So they kind of making these guys kind of more like, they weren't giving this high power to these alchemists and guys, the face and doll. They were using their I don't know the word for kind of they really get to involve their customers into this stuff. So I think that is kind of a satirizing of what the church can do or not at that time. So that's what I think.
Okay, thank you guys. All of you agree that this Alchemist plays a satire, and
What about you?
yes, I also agree this is a satire play. Thank you for mentioning about the religious part, David, because that's what I want to say. There's a two guy, Wholesome and Ananias. Yeah, two. They presenting those two guys are as a father. And considering, I mean, well, they both are also like being a greedy. They are asked to subtle, like, can you make this stone to the gold? And well, beyond them, actually, there's a more like a dropper or drugger who's selling tobacco, remember? And who what's the name? Yeah, Mammon as well. Yeah. Yeah, they are the one like being a greedy. So basically you guys already said that those guys are being a greedy, and the more ridiculous part, they are already rich but want to be more rich. But yes, if I say, if I want to more focus on the religious part, like consider 16th century, the Ben Jonson, when he writing this play, what I researched about his background, he's being a good Roman Catholic in 12 years in his life, but also in another way he was like a very hateness of his reality in his life, actually, like just being a sarcastic of his life, actually. And um how do I put, yeah, like he just hated where he living and what they doing religiously, actually religiously. And he just presenting that in his place, not only even about the Archemist, actually. So yeah, it's a very satire, very satire. All right, so can you move on to number two question? Are you guys agree? All good. Okay, perfect. Okay, I will read a number two question. Number two question was, discuss what alchemy might represent in the play. You may ask yourselves while preparing your answer, what is the alchemists? What was their place within the 16th century? And the last question is kind of optional. Why is an alchemist the protagonist of the play? Who want to go first about answer this? Okay, maybe Gerardo the first this time, maybe because Leo, you did it first. So okay, yeah.
Right. So to answer the first question, which is what is an alchemist? We have like an idea. It's someone who is able to basically change certain things, like certain materials into other kinds of materials. Their main goal was to search for gold. I think that's something about the Aureo principle, something about that. I forgot, but at one point it was like an actual job, like with like actual studies and stuff. But quickly people realized that it was as as real as something like tarot card reading or things like that, or that sort of stuff. So because alchemists actually try to see themselves as scientists and not people who have some kind of actual magical power, they quickly were discovered to not be actually scientific, and therefore the whole base of the study fell down the moment that they saw that there was nothing scientific about it. So we don't have, that's the main reason why we don't have alchemists today, but we still have things like tarot card reading people and people that see the future or claim to do certain things. We still have them because they don't base their jobs on science. They base it on things that we can't comprehend, and therefore people don't have a reason to question them. And I think the reason why an alchemist was chosen is precisely because of that, precisely because it was such an easy target to say, hey, these things aren't actually happening, they're actually just conning you, so that the moment that the play goes out, you don't really have a reason to get mad at it per se. It's supposed to make you laugh, it's not supposed to make you angry. Like if unlike something like would be like a satire of religion. But I think that's also one thing David already mentioned, that it's kind of a satire of religion in a sense.
And Emmanuel, continuing.
Yes, okay. As Gerardo said, at the time that the play was written, alchemists were very, very popular and very known. And to be honest, from a point of view, I think that alchemy might represent in the play like a way of criticizing maybe the way in which the persons who worked at church worked, as David said a few moments ago. Maybe he was trying to criticize that kind of thinking of the persons. Maybe he was just like, I don't know why some people think that you need to pay in order to go to heaven, and maybe he was criticizing that. He was not very sure about it, and maybe that's the way he found in order to criticize that without being I don't know, like very judged. Maybe I think that's like why alchemy represents in the play. He used like these very popular persons in order to criticize that. That's what I think.
Thank you, Leonardo. What about you, David?
Okay, well, the alchemists at the time were really famous, as all of you have said, but the alchemy was not like really popular at the time. It has a previous background when they were like the scientifics, well, not scientific, the people were studying how to transmute a substance or a material, or in this case, like lead to gold, because they were studying how to create new to transmute the from the lowest quality for as we could say, like lowest quality minerals into a high class minerals like gold. And at the time, well, you know, I read that the alchemists were really popular from 16th century until 19th century. So they were seen in this play like not like these tarot readers or magicians or sorcerers. They were also already serious scientists, and they use them because the people at the time really believed that this stuff could happen. Maybe there were others that, as I said before, they were kind of skeptical, but they will have a lot of followers. And probably they're using this. John Benson was using alchemism to represent this play because he wanted to show us that probably not everything that you been heard or is told to you could be real, because he also is mocking about this character, because he says also that the alchemists are kind of fake, and they're trick their customers to take advantage of their customers. They ask them for money to buy these kind of ingredients to create this new substance and transform the stone into gold. So he was trying to prove that point that we discussed in the previous question about that the alchemists were not really, they were mocking about the customers. And also, well, the alchemist is it wasn't as a new science at that time. It came from I don't know, maybe from previous civilizations, they were trying to use this stuff. So, but at the time was popular. They think that were really reliable source, and that's why they used them for. That was he used them for his play. So that's what I think.
Thank you very much, David. So all of you have a pretty much a similar concept and conclusion. I also pretty have a similar opinion, yes, but I want to ask you this question. Any of you thought about this Alchemists? Is something relation, specifically talking about the person shuttle in the play? Did you ever thought about the is the relation between the disease in 16th century, about the plague? So for example, about the plague. So for
The
example,
plague.
yeah, plague.
No, well, the plague was in 14 something at the beginning of the 15th century, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was at the beginning of the 14th century. It's been a while in 1606 when this was written for the plague to be, well, I imagine a very vivid and very sad memory, but a memory nonetheless. But perhaps, yes, perhaps there is a connection between the events of the plague and what eventually became of alchemy. As David said, alchemy was a science that was very old. I think even the Greeks dabbled in it, or the concepts of certain things are made of these things, and therefore, in theory, if we combine certain things, we should be able to make it. It's a very ground level like understanding of elements. But I think it's a combination of what the plague left everyone, like there were no doctors that actually could do anything for the plague. Their reasons as to what they were doing were very much incorrect. And so a lot of doctors, because you needed a lot of them during the plague, were not actually doctors. And among them, I believe some of them would have identified themselves as alchemists, because maybe they wanted to say, hey, we're going to cure you in a element kind of way, because they had a thing that was called the humors. Like your blood had a humor before, well, for doctors during the plague. And that was not the only way to cure, because they were actually doing anything. Humor was just a myth. But apparently, if your blood had a bad humor, then certain bad things would happen to you. It's kind of weird. But yeah, I do see where you draw the comparison, Hans.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I also very interested about your analyzing actually. Yeah. Found the
I didn't understand your question actually. I don't understand what this kind of related alchemism with medicine, because they are different stuff.
It's not about the medicine. I'm talking about the disease, what happened in the France at the moment, actually.
Yeah, but what does this happen to, what is related to the disease with transmuting materials? What is connected between them?
The alchemist actually identifies themselves as a doctor of sorts, and they kind of go hand in hand. Again, they weren't actually like real, well, they were real doctors, but their methods were very untraditional and very theoretical, and it does have a resemblance to current time alchemy in that sense. I do see the connection there. But the disease of the plague, I also do not see how they're connected. The people who actually died during the plague, because that was like years ago, and people used to live like 30 years or something, so, or 50 years at the most. So if we do like a calculation of like the beginning of the 15th century to the beginning of the 17th century, which is when the thing is played, we're talking about like 5 or 6 generations of people At that point, it is very difficult to see the connection between the play and 17th century alchemy, other than doctors were involved in both at that time.
Let me give you more specific, well, like a comparison. What about this? What happened at the beginning of the play, actually? What happened? The Lobwit, he left, right? Yeah. And who like a pretend like I'm the king here, I'm the like a you know, the heifer, like that was subtle. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say, it's like a very similar situation that what happened in 14th century, as I had to say, for the plague happened. So yeah, consider the victims are like a Lobwit who died because of plague, and the subtle is like a plague itself, like it came into and pretend to people like I can like how do I say, yeah, just like even we can even compare with the, you know, the when you do this like a scientific ceremony, how do I say, not this ceremony, like yeah, making gold, let me put this way, when you're making gold, there is a lot of smoke and smells and disgusting, yeah, but that's also mentioned in the book. I don't remember exact which part, but yeah, it's also reminds of flag, no, at the moment. Yeah, he came out from nowhere and he pretending like a king and making a lot of a smell, and at the end he can even make a gold. Yeah, like he's a cheater. Yeah, so that remind me really is like a talk about the flag, yeah, in 14th century. Yeah, that's what I want to share actually, specifically compared to the 16th century, and the religious cannot do anything, and that's what I want to compare with religious and the doctors, as I had already said. Yeah, that will be my analysis about this part. Yeah, but thank you, thank you. Anyone else, comments, criticizing, complaints, anything? Okay, then it's okay, we can end for the recording from here. Okay, very good. Thank you very much, guys.